How we doing today? Are we having fun yet? Let's talk about karma and the ego. Karma and the ego. So let's talk about emotions, which is not the ego per se. Emotions in general don't have any motivation of their own. They don't have an agenda. They don't have any skin in the game. Why am I talking about emotions when the topic is ego? I would suggest that the mind, the ego, is a very substantial part of our karma. I mentioned that emotions don't have a motive of their own. They're not scheming about 2 weeks from now or 2 months from now. They're a in the moment kind of thing. And it's our mind, it's our ego that really tips the card over karmically. Now, many spiritual people point at the ego and say it must die. The ego is the culprit and we must erase it from our persona. Well, I agree that the ego is a very, very prominent influencer of our karma. But the ego has its place. There's an idea of an enlightened ego. An enlightened ego. And what do I mean by that? We're gonna go there. When you get cracked open, like I did, and I don't suggest everybody has the exact same path and everybody is woken up the same way. No, no, no. But I was on a shrink's couch, and before the moment that changed my life, my ego was clueless. Clueless that I had an immense amount of emotion in my subconscious that was dictating my life in a very prominent way. So I'm talking about the karma of the ego. And my ego did not know that I had an immense amount of subconscious anger. And this immense amount of anger, hey, I'm a happy, easygoing guy. I don't get mad. How could I possibly have a problem with anger, right? How could that be? Yet anger, I'm talking about an emotion now, anger had my ego pinned to the ground. My ego was scared to death of my own anger. And I didn't know that. My ego did not know. My ego did not know that anger was driving my life, was making a lot of my choices all throughout the day. I would subconsciously vet choices. I would subconsciously weigh the choices before me. And if one side of the choice might draw up anger out of my psyche, nope, we're not doing that, we'll do this. All my choices were to keep me away from the feeling, the possibility of the feeling of anger. A lot of spiritual teachers say anger is the great evil. When you hold anger, the cinder is burning you and not the person you're angry at. Anger should be erased from our experience. I disagree. Anger is a fantastic emotion. What? Anger's a fantastic emotion. How come I postured with it for decades of my life? How come it put me on the couch? And now I'm saying anger's fantastic? So when I feel anger now, when I feel it well up in my being, I feel anger come up. It's a flag telling me there's something incongruent here. The anger's showing me, hey, something's off here. Hey, pay attention. Hey, you're not honoring yourself. Typically it could be broken down to not honoring yourself in some way. Of course, there's other instances when anger comes up. But not only is it flagging me, but it has this really intense, very clean, anger is a very clean emotion. Here's the problem, and here's the energy to fix the problem. So on that shrink's couch, the shrink puts out his hand and he says, come on, Les, show me your anger. I'm like, a waste of time. This is silly. No, show me your anger. And I pushed and nothing happened, and he kind of got up in my face. He said, look, I'm safe. You're safe. Would you show me your anger? Would you? And he put up his hand again, and that moment changed my life. Some valve in me opened up, and this immense amount of energy is flowing out of my psyche, like a really big river of energy. And I remember in the moment going, who the hell are you? What is this kind of feeling? And the anger's like, I don't care. I don't care. Think of me what you will. Why was I posturing with anger for so long? When anger didn't have any bias, preference, it didn't have any skin in the game. It was my mind, my ego that was posturing with the feeling of anger. In my childhood, anger was a decisive emotion in my family household. My dad was a World War II vet. He had plenty of reasons to be angry. He was thrust into, he was impaled with horror for a very long time without a choice that he could see. When we go on our spiritual journey, we're on our spiritual quest to find our divinity, and our ego is posturing with our emotions, and our emotions accumulate in our psyche. Well, there's a big chunk of the journey right there. I suggest to you that you teach your ego how to stay present when difficult feelings come up. Learn how to feel comfortable feeling uncomfortable. Because what I did was, it wasn't even in the conscious space. Anger would start to well up, and I'd say, no, and push it down. Nope, none of that, none of that. Decades later, I had this immense amount of anger in my psyche, and it was like this big arm reaching over my shoulder going, we're going this way. And it was pegging my life, and that's why I ended up on the couch. But if you can teach your ego that when feelings come up, Just be present with them. Just be present with them. I don't like this. I know, yeah. Stay there. You're releasing the emotion instead of pushing it down. You're dissipating instead of accumulating. That's huge. Well, this I would say the quote enlightened ego is present in the moment, and as inspiration from the heart and the soul come up, it takes action. In other words, the ego lets go of the steering wheel and surrenders the moment to moment choices to the heart and soul. Hey, go talk to that person. I don't know that person. Okay, I'll go talk to him. Go do this, go do that. And because you're taking the spiritual journey is to teach the ego how to let go of posturing with life and allowing the heart and the soul to guide it moment to moment to moment. Hey, Les, write a book. Okay. Hey, Les, learn about the vitality of water. Oh, okay. Hey, Les. Yeah. Right. And so I'm no longer resisting. I'm no longer posturing with my emotions. My ego is the accomplisher, the one that gets it done, right? Gets it done. Our ego is designed. We are all to have egos. It's not like you erase the ego. It's that the ego moves out of the steering wheel, out of the driver's seat, and surrenders that to the wisdom of the heart and the soul, and then the ego fulfills the inspiration moment to moment to moment. Well, I could talk all day, and I love this stuff. I just want to remind you every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Mountain Time, we do a live, typically live, show at 7 p.m. Mountain Time. We've interviewed hundreds and hundreds of people. All the shows are available online. And there's a lot of spiritual resources right there for you. You can go to newhumanliving.com and the weekly blogs are posted there. And I'm writing curriculum for a spiritual academy or university or whatever you want to call it. Had spirituality been taught in school, if you go on a college campus and there's a spirituality building, what would they teach in there? Always a pleasure. Thanks for joining me today. Until next time.